Have you ever heard the name Jane Doe? Jane Doe is a female multiple-use proxy name used when a female's true name is unknown or is being intentionally concealed. In the law enforcement setting of the United States, the name Jane Doe is often used to refer to a corpse whose identity is unknown or unconfirmed. Welcome back to the Crime Lab channel. In today's video, we'll be looking at the story of baby Jane Doe and what happened to her. Based on the statement mentioned earlier, it's evident that the baby in question is a female with an unknown or intentionally concealed name. However, there is more to this story than meets the eye, and that is what we are here to look at. It all started on December 3rd, 1982, when a female toddler was seen in the area of Moss Point, Mississippi, along with a young adult female, assumed to have been her mother, who was carrying this toddler in her arms. According to many eyewitness stories, these sightings occurred on both Mississippi State Highway 63 and later the National Interstate 10, close to the state border of Alabama. According to numerous eyewitness reports, the young female adult carrying this child had been wearing a blue plaid shirt and blue jeans and was last seen walking west along Interstate 10, close to the truck scales at the Alabama-Mississippi border, sometime between midnight and 1 o'clock in the morning of December 3rd. Eyewitnesses' reports claim that this woman had been in an acute state of distress but had fervently refused any offers of help from passing vehicles. These numerous eyewitnesses' report later given to the investigators was further validated by accounts from a woman who had been monitoring CB radio conversations between truck drivers early in the morning of December 3rd. She told investigators that several truck drivers had been raising what she called a boatload of hell regarding an obviously distressed woman walking along Interstate 10 with a barefoot, coatless female toddler in her arms, and who had constantly refused any offers of assistance from passing vehicles. Within 2 days after these sightings, at approximately 7 a.m. on December 5th, a truck driver spotted the body of an adult female, clothed in a blue plaid shirt, floating face down close to a bridge spanning the Escatawpa River along Interstate 10. This truck driver immediately reported his discovery to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, and a sheriff deputy immediately responded to the scene. Unfortunately, the sheriff's deputy found no body floating in the general area of the river in which the body had been spotted. Nevertheless, this deputy decided to continue the search, expanding the geographical search radius of the river as he did so. Soon afterward, he discovered the body of a small blonde-haired child lying submerged, partially and face up in the weeds close to the bridge. Deputy Virgil Moore said, "And there they came across the baby's body. Like I said, they really weren't looking for a baby. They were looking for an adult and found a baby. The baby was barefoot and wearing only a red and white checked dress and a disposable diaper. She had strawberry blonde hair, with loose curls of about shoulder length, with either brown or blue eyes." Authorities quickly concluded that the child had been thrown from the bridge into the general area where her body was later found. But they also stated that this child's body was unlikely to have been that spotted by the truck driver. This is because the section of the Escatawpa River where her body was discovered had been heavily infested with weeds, thus making sighting any body in this water section very difficult for passing motorists. Following the discovery of the child's body, the general area of the Escatawpa River, where the truck driver had sighted the body of the adult female, was searched in the hopes of also retrieving her body. Although these efforts turned out to be unsuccessful, these searches were conducted with the aid of helicopters and boats. Still, the body of the woman initially sighted within the Escatawpa River has never been found. Regardless, if the body seen floating in the river on December 5th was not hers, she had never been located alive or presented herself to authorities. Although the underwater search unit failed to locate the body of the adult woman spotted by the truck driver, this search unit did locate the largely skeletal remains of a young African-American male on December 8th. His body was found underneath the eastbound I-10 bridge, approximately 60 yards from the scene of the earlier discovery of the child's body. Investigators determined this individual had also been thrown over the I-10 bridge, although this victim had lain undiscovered for a minimum of 6 months and had been shot to death, thus making his death extremely unlikely to be connected to the case. Investigators gave this man the name of Moss Point John Doe prior to his 2022 identification. An autopsy was carried out on the child's body, revealing that someone had tried to smother her before she entered the river. Although the child had still been alive when she entered the water, she was said to have inhaled the murky water from the river into her lungs, thus confirming that she had ultimately died of drowning. The official cause of death would be certified as drowning due to her having inhaled water upon impacting the surface of the water. Investigators also concluded that she had been intentionally deposited into the river from the eastbound I-10 bridge, most likely having been thrown into the river by the woman seen carrying her 2 days prior to her discovery, with this woman probably believing that the child had died via the act of smothering. Based on the autopsy report, it was believed that baby Jane Doe had been a healthy toddler, with her age estimated to have been between the ages of 1 and 2 years old, most likely between 18 months and 2 years of age. 12 of her milk teeth had erupted at the time of her death, influencing this age estimation. The funeral of this then unidentified child was mostly funded by Deputy Virgil Moore, who, along with his wife Mary Ann, started a fundraising and donations appeal via local businesses and funeral homes to ensure the child received a Christian funeral. His wife Mary Ann Moore was the individual who coined the name Baby Jane, having been horrified at the thought of the child being simply buried as a Jane Doe. For years, the case deteriorated like thousands of others across the country, but with advancements in DNA technology and the rise of genetic genealogy, which uses science to determine familial relationships, there has been a ray of hope in identifying victims and perpetrators. Investigators opened baby Jane Doe's case in 2008 and pursued every tip. The next year, her body was exhumed, but it would take 10 more years and a donation to pay for the expensive testing before there was any breakthrough in the case. With advances in technology, several forensic facial reconstructions of the child were created in the years following the discovery of her body in ongoing efforts to identify her. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children also released 2 illustrations showing probable resemblances as to how baby Jane Doe may have physically appeared in her life. Other forensic artists also produced their own renderings in an effort to discover her identity. On December 4, 2020, Jackson County Sheriff's Office identified baby Jane Doe as 18-month-old Alicia Ann Henrich of Joplin, Missouri.
Jackson County, Mississippi investigators now know the identity of a baby they found dead in the Escatawba River back in 1982.
Her identity was confirmed through DNA sequencing and genetic genealogy, and the child's DNA was linked to family members in Missouri, where her mother, Gwendolyn May Clemens, had previously lived. Gwendolyn Clemens had recently divorced her daughter's father and her daughter, and an unnamed boyfriend reportedly disappeared on or around November 24, 1982, from the family's residence in Kansas City, Missouri. They intended to relocate to the state of Florida with Gwendolyn, informing her relatives of her intentions to start life anew in the state. The boyfriend later returned to Missouri alone and had been described as a person of interest and a suspect in various media reports. The circumstances surrounding Alicia's death and her mother's disappearance remain under investigation by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department, with the investigators still uncertain as to Gwendolyn's ultimate fate. At a press conference held on December 4, 2020, Sheriff Mike Easel stated, "We do not know if she is dead or alive at this point. We are assuming the worst, but we don't know that for sure." Before the Jackson County Sheriff's Department formal announcement of the identity of baby Jane Doe as Alicia Ann Henrich, the previously unknown adult female accompanying the child upon the eastbound Interstate 10 bridge was theorized to have been responsible for her death in a suspected murder-suicide. However, this theory is now in doubt. Thank you for watching this video. Hit us up in the comments section and give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos.